Welcome to Sotheby's Australia's May sale of important Australian and international art. We are particularly honoured to have consigned exceptional works by Australia's great colonial, modern and contemporary artists. Frederick McCubbin's Whisperings in Wattle Boughs is a masterpiece of Australian Impressionism. In 1886, Tom Roberts and Frederick McCubbin established the famous artist camp at Box Hill. This picture, together with Tom Roberts's The Artist Camp, were both included in the inaugural exhibition of the Australian Artists Association held in Melbourne in the early months of 1886. Whisperings in Wattle Boughs was acquired by Professor Henry and Mrs. Frances Laurie from that exhibition. It is being offered for public sale for the very first time, and we are honoured to have been entrusted with the sale of this work of exceptional rarity and quality.
The May sale is extremely strong in colonial paintings, one of the finest being this scene of a native encampment by the German South Australian artist Alexander Schramm. Schramm's paintings of Aboriginal life are notable both for the realism of their dusty, untidy landscape backgrounds, but also for the clarity of their anthropological observation. Here we see a group of those Murray River Aborigines who frequented Adelaide in the 1850s, seated before a fire in their bark and brush wurley. The foreground figure of a woman epitomises cultural connection in the early contact period. Not only is she making a traditional grass basket or net, but she's also smoking a European clay pipe. And of course, there are plenty of dogs. Schramm's work is extremely rare. This striking painting is a noteworthy addition to the known corpus of this remarkable artist. Arthur Boyd's darkly poetic Bride series of the late 1950s actually has its point of origin in a real-world experience. In 1951, the artist visited Central Australia, travelling on the Garn from Port Augusta to Alice Springs and then east across to Altunga in a battered old army jeep. He was particularly struck not only by the landscape of the desert, but also by the poor and marginalised condition of Aboriginal fringe dwellers. And the pathos and suffering of the love, marriage and death of a half-caste exhibition of 1958 can be traced right back to this initial culture shock. Situated between observation and imagination, between the sunny late 40s Wimmera landscapes and the shadows of the Bride paintings, between social realism and expressionism, Dry Creekbed, Alice Springs is a terribly important transitional painting and a key to understanding Arthur Boyd's savage beauty.
Russell Drysdale's extraordinary paintings of Australia and its people garnered him a truly international reputation. A notoriously slow painter in a career spanning over 40 years, Boy on a Log was completed by Drysdale in 1953. It was included in his solo exhibition at the Macquarie Galleries in Sydney. It was purchased from that exhibition by the current owner. It has remained tucked away in a private collection for nearly 60 years. Lovers by a Creek is one of 17 paintings from Boyd's exhibition at the Smith&Singer Gallery in London in 1960. It is only the second time that this painting has been offered for auction. This complex series explores the love, marriage and death of the Aboriginal half-caste, which Boyd was inspired to paint after first visiting Central Australia in 1951. Here Boyd places his ill-fated lovers within the turbulent context of the Australian landscape.
Amongst Fred Williams' best-loved and most readily recognised paintings are the Otway pictures of the mid-1960s. Williams's great interpreter and advocate Patrick McCaughey has even called them classic Williams. And these paintings, works from the series, secured for the artist 3 major awards: the George's Invitation Art Prize, the WD&HO Wills Prize, and of course the Wynne Prize for Landscape. This particular work was included in the National Gallery of Victoria's Heroic Landscape exhibition of 1970, a show in which Williams' central importance as an interpreter of the Australian landscape was recognised and celebrated by his pairing with the great Arthur Streeton. The Upwey works, with their monumental slabs of earth and their delicate cubist armature of tree trunks and fallen logs, with their sombre ochre beds and their bright flashes of opal, seem to fall almost exactly halfway between Streeton and Jackson Pollock, between European naturalism and American abstraction. A classic work from a classic series. This Upwey landscape is Williams at his compellingly ambiguous, or ambiguously compelling, best. Since moving from geometric abstraction to figurative expressionism in the mid-1980s, Peter Booth's art has traversed a number of themes, from carnivals of mutants to bleak, snowy landscapes, from killers and cannibals to bugs and burning books. One of his most striking recurrent motifs is that of the crowd, sometimes threatening, sometimes expectant, sometimes totally passive, always exclusively male. This particular pack of rugged up winter zombies could be a queue of the homeless or the hopeful, a column of refugees perhaps, even a conga line of politicians. In this powerful, disturbing, but it must be admitted, exquisitely richly painted picture, the leader points off stage, off canvas, towards humanity's uncertain future.
Charles Blackman's images of schoolgirls nestled in the suburban environs of Hawthorne are no less disturbing now as they were when first exhibited in Melbourne in 1953. There was acquired in the early 1950s by Mr. A. Bruce Wenzel. The Wenzels were great supporters of Australian contemporary art, and their collection was renowned for its depth and quality. Last exhibited in Charles Blackman's retrospective exhibition, this painting is being offered for the very first time for public sale. Albert Tucker's images of intruders, Antipodean and explorers offer powerful insights into man's relationship with the environment. These images came into formation during the late 1940s and 1950s while Tucker was living and working in Europe. Explorers was painted in 1967 and for many years hung in Tucker's studio. He used this picture as a reference point for many compositions. It is powerfully painted, exuberant in its application of pure pigment, blues, reds, oranges and greens. The two explorers are warriors in the Australian landscape. Our May sale of important Australian and international art offers exceptional works of the highest quality. My colleagues and I look forward to welcoming you to the Melbourne and Sydney viewings prior to the evening sale on Tuesday, the 8th of May.